Brethren, on behalf of Illustrious Brother David A. Bennett, 33 Degrees, Sovereign Grand Commander of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry of Canada, I bring you warm fraternal greetings. Thrice Puissant Grand Master, Illustrious Brother Mark F. Houghton, 32 Degrees, head table guests and my fellow members of Supreme Council and officers of the Toronto Grand Lodge of Perfection, Toronto Valley Brethren, visitors, and particularly you guys wearing the blue collars, the class. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I offer my sincere thanks for the courtesy and hospitality afforded during this official visit. The work of the weekend thus far has been the conferral of the 4th and the 5th degrees yesterday, 7th and 13th today, and this afternoon, the assembly. I called it an assembly because in Hamilton we do Springer Assembly and Fall Reunion because we get together, so I apologize for the faux pas. The afternoon reunion will conclude with the 14th degree, namely Grand Elect Perfect and Sublime Mason. And the class, you were given a little hint of that in the 13th degree this morning. Without giving away any Masonic secrets, of which we all know there are none, it is one of my favorites and has been referenced as the ultimate degree of ancient Masonry, in part because of the final charge or orator's lecture. I urge you all, especially the class who will be hearing it for the first time, to listen very closely to the words. They are powerful. Brethren, what is Masonic duty? I ask you that question. Although you heard it referenced many times in the 4th and 5th degree last night, I'm going to curtail my comments to the 14th in particular, in which you will hear it referenced about 10 more times in the opening, with the representative candidate, during the ceremony, and again in the lecture. However, prior to its conferral, I'd like to share a few thoughts with you for your contemplation. And I must confess, I tried something I have never done before. First, Google Dictionary cited duty, the noun, as a moral or legal obligation, a responsibility. Wikipedia indicated that from an ethical perspective, that a duty may arise from a system of ethics or morality, especially in an honor culture. What might an honor culture be to you? Masonry comes to my mind. So now that we have a formal definition, if one was needed, how does this apply to us as men, but more particularly as Masons? Keywords from that definition that resonate, words that we also and often hear in lodge rooms are moral, obligation, and responsibility. But what do they denote? Well, probably depending on us as individuals, it has something to do with our respective Masonic journey in the craft, and now for the class, Scottish Rite. But what it is hoped is that these words remind all of us of lessons that we have learned throughout Masonry, regardless of our status and or tenure. Brethren, these virtues, ones that you as a Mason practice? I really like the reference to a system of morality, which can be translated to moral conduct involving evaluative judgment or assessing actions as morals and traits as virtues. Masonry and God prefer virtue over vice. Secondly, some synonyms for the word duty that the Microsoft Thesaurus function produced are responsibility, a repeat, obligation, onus, burden, and I like this really simple one, what you have to do. Spoiler alert, you will be given a perspective on to do, listen for those words, later this afternoon. Listen carefully. In the YouTube video, What Do Masons Do?, featuring your own brother Jeffrey Elaine, whose birthday is today, I understand, Besides advocating that Masons live by deeds, not words, he states that a Mason's duty is to community and country. Well, we all should understand country, perhaps even more so after the recent 2026 Winter Olympics. However, community can have several possible implications. Being a farm boy, what comes to my mind is the difference between urban and rural. While addressing the Supreme Council session in St. John's, Newfoundland in 2016, Most Worshipful Brother Larry Grandy, now Grand Historian, Grand Lodge AF and AM of Newfoundland and Labrador, urged the brethren to concentrate on community involvement and stated, visibly being within your community was most important. However, he also cautioned that just to be visible should not be the main aim, but that supporting its activities and being involved for its betterment is where our effort needs to be directed. He ended by stating, and I quote, "Always remember the best part of being in your community is to be involved." End quote. Brethren, we each have a duty to our respective community. I ask you, how involved are you in your Masonic community? Third and lastly for consideration, and this is where I tried something new, I typed Masonic duty into the Google Chrome search engine, and the AI overview generated the following. In Freemasonry, duty is the core obligation a member undertakes to refine his character and serve others. It is often summarized as a threefold responsibility: duty to God, duty to neighbor, and duty to self. It further indicated that beyond personal ethics, members have a specific responsibility within their Masonic lodge. Masons are expected to answer a summons from the worshipful master and to attend communications. This is what separates Masons from men. We want and need Masons from members. We want and need Masons. We don't necessarily need more members. We want Masons. So, brethren, how well are you performing this duty of answering the Masonic summons and attending communications, if within the length of your cable tow? Regardless of when or where we became a Freemason and then a Scottish Riter, and despite all the preceding thoughts from yours truly, to be a good Mason, duty is paramount. In the words of Albert Pike, one of our architects of the modern Scottish Rite, his interpretation of duty was summed up by saying, and I quote, "Let us still remember that the only question for us to ask is, what does duty require, and not what will be the reward if we do our duty." End quote. In closing, the solemnity of duty is no better articulated than in this quote, again from Albert Pike, which, by the way, appears in the first few pages of every printed copy of almost every Scottish Rite ritual from the 4th degree through to and including the 32nd. And I quote again, "On the volume of Masonic life, one bright word is written, from which on every side blazes an ineffable splendor. That word is duty." Thrice Puissant Grand Master and officers, I extend my sincere best wishes for a successful 14th degree following this luncheon. Thrice Puissant Grand Master, through you to the Most Wise Sovereign and officers of the Toronto Sovereign Chapter Gros Gras, good luck on your upcoming reunion at the end of March. I hope to attend. My fellow members of Supreme Council, I value and thank you for your friendship as well as your enduring support of not only Toronto Valley, but the office of Deputy. And last but not least, the class later this afternoon to be considered Grand Elect Perfect and Sublime Masons. Continued success as you progress in the Scottish Rite, whatever that may look like for you. It is written, stand up to be seen, speak up to be heard, and sit down to be appreciated. I will take that advice now. Brethren, thank you, take care, stay safe, be well, now and in the future.